let's begin the question time. Any fish related questions you have, please send them my way. Let's do some question time. How to fish depends on what you're fishing for. There are a lot of different methods. You can have fun no matter what. Favorite fish to eat? I don't eat fish. If you had zero money limitations, what fish species would you keep? Zero the money limitations? So as in I can build as like large of a tank as specialized. I think the limitations might be science, not money, because I want some deep sea thing that I could have at crazy high pressure, but I don't even think that exists. Like, I don't think it is well enough developed to where like I could look at the fish and keep it in a tank at crazy high pressure. So I don't even think there's an amount of money, but I guess if it's unlimited money, I could pay for that research to happen very fast. How do fish fish? Fish in different ways. The most common method of fish fishing is just, wow, I can't think of the word, ambushing. Sitting somewhere and waiting for smaller fish to come by, and then you fish the fish. Thoughts on microfishing? Microfishing's cool. It's what I do, and it's what my friends do. I don't use a rod, but I still consider it microfishing. I just microfish with a dip net. I love microfishing. Very cool hobby. If any of you are interested in fish, you should microfish. It's really cool. You just go out and you try and catch species. It's literally like playing Pokemon. Microfishing is just the hobby of trying to catch as many different species of fish as possible. And you could use a net, you could use a rod if you want, but rather than trying to get like a particularly big fish or, you know, bring something home to eat or whatever, you're just trying to see as many different species. So you really get to explore the species and things about them, which I find really cool. You know, like you go from, as a normal fisherman, there's shiners, you know?
What is the biggest fish you could beat in a fight to the death in water?
I'll answer that after. You know, as a normal fisherman, you might know of like shiners or minnows, but when you start to microfish, if you want to be able to catch as many species as possible, you got to learn to tell the difference between them. So it's fun. What dip net do you use? I use Jonah's dip net. As long as I have had Jonah's dip net, I have used Jonah's dip net. It was a sponsor. I think I reached out to them for a sponsorship like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and they sent me a free dip net. That was it, by the way. They sent me a free dip net. They didn't pay me anything for anything. I did the sponsorship, and I have never used another dip net since. Before that, I was using this cheap one off Amazon that would break every time I used it because the handle was not strong enough. That was a pain. Should I take my fish tank to college? Depends how big it is. If it's under 10, yeah, sure, why not? Be the first to keep a great white without getting it depressed? That would take some trial and error. What time are walleye most active? I have no idea. I am not a not a game fish expert. I really don't know that much about bass and stuff like that. Why did fish evolve to have mucus coating rather than changing their skins? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, you mean like shedding skin, like reptiles do. Yeah, that is really interesting because invertebrates shed their skin, right? Well, they molt. And then reptiles molt as well. And in between an invertebrate and a reptile is fish, theoretically, like evolutionarily. So what happened in the in-between? That's a good question that I don't actually know the answer to. The mucus is just a very helpful thing to have. It's very protective against disease and injury and all sorts of other things. It's just a very good defense. So that makes sense why that evolved. But specifically why fish didn't evolve to molt, I don't know. They grow continuously throughout their lives. Most fish don't even really have a max size. They just start allocating energy in other places, so they stop growing because they're putting the food that they're eating towards reproducing or migrating, whatever. But they don't technically stop growing. So maybe that would be a problem with molting, because I guess with molting, typically you like grow to a point, molt, grow to a point, you know. Don't fish suck their food? Many fish use a sort of like, they manipulate the water in a suction type way, yes, to pull food in. How long have you been vegetarian? 10 years, I think. Opinion on tadpole fish? If you're talking about Hyquictes, big fan. Love me some ancient fish. I quarantine saltwater fish for a living? What does that mean? Like you work at like an aquarium and you're take the fish out of the aquarium when they need to be quarantined? Why do we call fish fish if fish isn't a specific group? Well, for a long time in history, fish just kind of referred to anything in the water. Look at that cutie. Look at her. Look at her. Like fish were fish, but also lobsters were fish, and shellfish were fish, you know, clams were fish. The definition only got a little bit more strict more recently and then scientific. But I think fish just in general means like creature of the water. And we just kind of have made it more specific as we came up with names for other things. Opinions on chimeras? I love chimeras. Be really cool to see one in person one day, but it's kind of beyond my abilities to find a live chimera. Favorite fish that you've seen in the wild? I still don't know the answer to this. I've seen many cool fish. I mean, it seems like the obvious answer would be something in Malaysia that like no one else has seen, because that's really cool. But then it's like, I don't know. There's some cool minnows here that I've enjoyed too. I don't know if I could come up with a proper answer to that. Best aquarium you've been to? I could tell you best and worst. I think my best was probably the Shed in Chicago. That was a really good aquarium. Baltimore is a somewhat close second. I really liked the Baltimore Aquarium, but the Shed was just incredible. It had a lot of native fish exhibits, which I'm a sucker for, obviously, when they have a bunch of native exhibits. And then the worst I've ever been to is the Kansas City Aquarium. It was so bad. Like, in addition to being tiny, it really just was not great. Been to the Toronto Aquarium? No, I've never actually been to Canada. I want to go to Canada at some point. I want a Northern Pearl Dace. Honestly, I could probably drive to Canada. Is that the Canadian border is like 5 hours from me. I could really just drive in it. Can you do that? Can you just drive into Canada with a passport and then just let you cross the border? I should do that. I should just pick a weekend, drive into Canada and go catch some fish. Are there cool fish in Canada? I know I could get some of the chrysomis and the Northern Pearl Dace. Let's see. If I drove up to Canada, I would probably go along here and visit my friend. I have Brook Stickleback. I got Northern Red Belly last time I was up there. I have Round Goby. I have Long Nose Gar. I have all of these. Common Log Perch I have. I'm waiting to see a fish I don't have. I have Brook Silverside. Lake Sturgeon I don't have, but I don't think I would happen upon a Lake Sturgeon. Black Chin. Are Black Chin that much more common up there? Oh, interesting. They seem to be way common up here in the lakes. Okay, Black Chin is interesting. Some Red Horse up there. Moon Eye. Dude, a Moon Eye would be so cool. Fine Scale. I don't think I caught Fine Scale Dace last time I was up there. This is like one of the only chrysomis that I still have not yet caught. So maybe I'll do that. Get a Fine Scale Dace. Now's the time that they're breeding, I think, too. Northern Pearl Dace. That's the one I really want. I really want a Northern Pearl Dace. And look, there's a decent bit of overlap between literally in downtown Ottawa. There are Fine Scale Dace and there are Pearl Dace. And I barely have to go over the border. Oh, Northern Sunfish. That's something I would have to get if I was up there. Oh, geez, it's all that direction towards Montreal. Oh, and it's all obscured. I want Northern Sunfish. Oh, it's all Hydrophilus obscuring it. Because when else am I going to get Northern Sunfish? I guess I could drive over here. They seem to be pretty abundant. Bridal Shiner. It would be cool to get a Canadian Bridal Shiner. I want Brassy Minnow, but this has got to be impossible. I don't know how you would go about getting Brassy Minnow. It actually doesn't seem that uncommon. Again, in downtown Ottawa, in the Rideau River, there seems to be something to all of the fish that I want to find. I want a trout perch, but I was planning to go to Pennsylvania for those. Eastern Sand Darter are up in Canada? Oh, Lake Chub. I want that too. Wait, Eastern Sand Darter in Canada? What? Eastern Sand Darter are right there? That's got to be an obscured Hydrophilus one, right? Dude, I want an Eastern Sand Darter so bad. That's sick. Maybe I want that. I'm window shopping for fish right now. True. Or the Lake Chub. The Lake Chub are over there. Honestly, yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll do a Canada trip soon, chat. Not soon, because I have, like, fish things planned in April, June, and July. But what are the best ways to get protein as a vegetarian? Tofu. Tofu helps a lot. And dairy products. I don't know. I'm not a dietary expert. I did have my blood work done recently, and it was excellent. Like, all of my nutrients were really good, like, within the correct ranges. And I've been vegetarian for now half of my life. So I don't even eat beans. And I don't have nuts very often either. So it doesn't seem as hard as people make it out to have a nutrient balance. But it could be different person to person. Why are there such fish as bottom feeder and top feeder? Just different niches. If you're going to live within the same pond, or if you're forced to live within the same pond, and the one fish is eating all the food off the bottom, well, hey, you could get to it faster when it's on the top. But if you specialize to eating on the top, once it sinks past you, then you can't really get it anymore. So, you know, makes sense to have someone on the bottom. And then most fish are really in the middle. It's just different niches. What do you think is the most underrated aquarium fish? I don't know. I don't have many aquarium fishes. I would say natives, really. I think not enough people keep natives. They're really cool. Probably like pygmy sunfish are really cool. Seen a lot of those do really well on Twitch. Wonder why we never made a new name to refer to the vertebrate fish to avoid confusion. That's where we've just slowly converted the definition to that. Alligators are my favorite animal, and that's why I want to eat one. Okay, have fun. They have the Cape elephant fish at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. That's cool. I've never been. Where's Monterey Bay? It's like California, right? In June, I'm gonna be in California, but I have not been before. So I've never been to the West Coast other than a layover in Seattle twice, and I guess I've been to Alaska if you count that. Minnesota Zoo is amazing for fish. I was gonna go to college in Minnesota. That was like my #1 draft pick for college, was I wanted to go to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, but they offered me no money. So alas, I could not do that. Would you ever harness train Mala so she can join you on AVNJ's adventures? No, she's not really an outdoor cat. She also has FELV, which is a disease that basically is sort of similar to human HIV. So she doesn't really have a functioning immune system. So the less I expose her to, the better. And as long as I can keep her happy and healthy indoors, I would prefer to do that. Someone should make a Pokedex, but for fish, and you get an achievement if you get photos of all the fish in a genus. That's literally just iNaturalist. You are describing iNaturalist. How many rivers in North America are called Deer River? It has to be in the hundreds. It has to be triple digits. What fish could you beat in a fight? Almost all of them. Do I get tools? Then all of them. I eat a lot of mock meats as a vegetarian. I'm not a huge mock meat fan. I feel like when they try to make it taste like real meat or look like real meat, they end up just creating like weird, slimy, poorly textured stuff that I don't typically enjoy. Any consistent tips on avoiding human contact in populated areas when adventuring and fishing around? Oh, now this is my specialty. Avoiding people while fishing is like #1. If there's someone fishing, I'll always go the opposite direction. I always check the area before I ever get into a stream to fish, unless there's like a really specific spot that I want to hit. Just go to like not parks. You know, parks are nice, and it's, you know, easy. It's very nice to have a nice parking lot where you can just get right into the water and find the fish that you want. But you're going to run into a lot more people and fishermen, and I don't know. It's not a big deal for some people, but I'm just mildly socially anxious and I don't enjoy it. So the more secluded, the better. There's a lot of public access waterways. You should look up the laws for your state, but in New Jersey, for example, all waterways are public access, unless the person, I think, owns both sides of it, and some other things has to be a certain width and all that. If you can get into it on public property, you can walk along it as much as you want. So I just will walk up or downstream if I'm at a park until I'm out of the area that people are in, or I try to find areas where there aren't people in the first place. Can't angle for lake sturgeon in Ontario. Wouldn't be angling anyways. I would dip net a lake sturgeon. I thought vegetarians eat eggs and dairy, but vegans avoid all animal-based foods. That's true. I eat eggs and dairy. Can you really beat a whale shark? If I have a gun, yeah. I could beat any fish if I am given a weapon to do so with. Oh yeah, you can also just fish at night. Most of my fishing is at night. You would be surprised, at least with a dip net, how much easier it is to catch fish at nighttime. With a headlamp in a stream, they move around less. They're way more obvious under headlamp. You don't have to deal with like the glare of the sun and all that. You can just see a lot better. It's just way easier. How do I start dip netting? You get a dip net of any sort and then go out into a stream and try to find some fish with it. I have a tutorial on YouTube if you want to learn like proper dip netting techniques, but really for the first while you can just do it however it feels natural. I don't think you'd beat a hippo. I said fish, Maizute. Hippo is not a fish. It's funny how my channel is now very rarely we talk about Crabzilla or Megalodon. A lot of fans still like it, but it's like my channel has transitioned a lot to more like real fish related things, which I'm not opposed to. I like talking about and learning about real fish. We've evolved as a fan base. Yeah, that's true. Used to be a bunch of Megalodon hoes. And the normal people who come around still sometimes are, but...